Hey everybody, Jim McLaren here, and I downloaded Bias Effects last night. This is the icon right here, and I'm really excited about it. It's April 28th, 2015, and I've been an avid user of Bias and Jam Up Pro by Positive Grid. I've been using their stuff for the past year or two, and I've been using it with keyboards, with guitars, with basses, and I've been using it live. I've actually used Jam Up Pro in a keyboard rig before, as well as a guitar rig, and I'm excited to try out Bias Effects today. So I've been messing around a little bit with it today, and I thought I would film this to show everybody just what this thing can do. Alright, so first I'm going to start recording the audio. So I'm going to go into Audio Share, yes, and I'm going to start recording. I'm going to add Bias Effects as an inter-app audio effect here, and then I can start recording and give you some good quality audio. Alright, let's open it up. Alright, so for this demonstration I'm going to be using two different guitars. The first guitar I'm using is this 1991 American Strat with noiseless vintage pickups. And the other guitar I'm going to use later on is going to be this 2015 Les Paul Studio with 57 Classics. Alright, so here we are. And it starts us off here, and it's got the plexiglass 69 plexi amp showing. And this looks very much like Bias does, actually. And this is a Bias amp. I can actually open it up in Bias if I want to edit all the parameters. And right now I'm using an iRig Pro plugged in. Alright, this is what it sounds like. Sounds pretty good. So I can add something by going to this plus sign here. I'm going to first add a noise gate, and at this point it appears in this line of effects, and I can actually move it around. I could delete it by putting it here. I'm going to put it in front. Alright, so I got a gate. Alright, doesn't really do much until I've added some more effects, so let's add a compressor. Alright. Off, on, good. And I'm not going to mess around with all the different effects pedals here, but just want to show you what's going on. Okay, let's add a boost, treble booster. Nice, sounds great. Alright. And you can just turn them on and off by dragging them down like that, or by just clicking on the power button. Okay, let's add a drive. Let's add a good old-fashioned tube screamer. Does the job. Sounds great. Let's add there's equalizers in here. I'm going to add a modulation pedal. My favorite is the MXR Phase 90. Don't find that they've copied this sound exactly to my liking. My MXR adds a little bit of gain to the circuit as well. This one might, but just not quite as much as a real pedal. Still, very good though. Alright, let's keep going. We're going to add a delay, digital delay. Alright, now feedback down below. Now there's a tone knob here, and this changes it, what they say, between analog and digital. If I go full digital, I'll turn the feedback up here. Then it keeps the integrity, much more like a digital delay, and an analog one, it loses a little bit of treble as the repeats occur. That's kind of cool. All right. All right, and let's add some rack effects here as well. Well, add some reverb. There you go. Spring reverb. Way too much. Yeah, that's nice. All right, I'm going to put the reverb after the amplifier. So that we're not amplifying reverb going into it, we're just amplifying the sound and then adding reverb after. I'm going to do that with the delay as well. Put that over here. Alright. Okay, so this is your basic guitar rig. At this point, a couple things I can point out. There's a tuner at the bottom, which we can use to tune my half-step down guitar. There's a metronome as well. Yep. Live view. This is pretty cool, this view here. This is where I can turn on and off each of the effects with just this button. Now, what else can I do? Well, if I push and hold a button, I can choose which pedal this button is attached to. So right now it's attached to something that's not in this, which is a stereo reverb. I'm going to attach it to just the reverb. 63 spring reverb. And the delay, I'm going to toggle that pedal onto this delay, digital delay it's called. And these names change to the actual pedal I've chosen. Orange phaser, and the drive, this should change to the 808 overdrive. Alright, that's cool. And also they change to orange once they're turned on, so you know they're on. The other things you can do with these pedals, MIDI learn. If you happen to have a MIDI controller plugged in, whether it's a keyboard or a, primarily a foot pedal is probably what you want, you would then click the button and it would learn to this specific one here. The other cool thing about these buttons is that when I choose to toggle the pedal, I can also choose the tuner or the metronome. So I can put tuner on, and then when I hit that pedal, tuner pops up. That's very useful in a live setting. And I only have this saved in preset 1, but of course preset 1, A, B, C, D are all available. I can switch to the next bank. So obviously very useful stuff here. The other thing I'm going to show you is this view here. This is showing what your gear would actually look like if it was all in a pedal board. You can still access each of the pedals and all that kind of stuff. Shows me the amp up here, all the pedals. If I swipe this way, it shows me any rack gear that I have installed here. So I'm going to actually put some rack gear on. I'm going to add actually a stereo chorus, this rack effect here. It puts it right at the end. And then when I look at this view, there's my rack gear. And this just looks cool. This program is gorgeous. It just looks like all the gear it needs to look like. Fantastic. Okay, let's add another amplifier. So I'm going to go back to this view here. Turn that off. All right, so at this point there's a plus sign underneath the amplifier. So if I hit plus, it's now added a second plexiglass amplifier. It's also added a splitter. When I click on the splitter, it shows that my amp signal, you can change it from signal to frequency or level, is going to both channel 1 and channel 2, which then goes to one amp and then the other amp. Okay, so here's my amplifiers, of course. And then the mixer at the end, here's the volume of amp 1 and volume of amp 2. They're both set at minus 6 dB. You can pan them both, so let's do that. Let's pan amp 1 to the left, amp 2 to the right, which with two identical amps just sounds like it's in mono. I can have a delay with each amp. So I'm adding 3 millisecond delay to the left amp. Now that's okay. I'm going to just actually change the amp though. I'm going to change the second amplifier. So click it, choose. I'm going to choose a Mesa Boogie. So in the right channel now, I've got this triple rectifier. Balance the levels out here. Alright, now I can also link these two together so that when I change the volumes, they go together. Alright. Now, to my ears, that's kind of cool, but I'm going to add some. I'm going to add a distortion pedal to just the Plexi amp. So I'm going to add. Let's add drive. Let's add a Boss overdrive, but let's put it just before the first Plexi amp. Pretty cool sound, isn't it? I'm going to add the gate now while I'm at it. That's a bit better. All right, and the only other things on here, there's an input volume here in case your interface doesn't give you the option to change the input. There's output down here. I can also click on this to just get more fine-tuned control out of the output level. I can save patches here, or I can load patches from the large number of ones that they have built in. I can go to my tone cloud, which is where I can access all sorts of patches on the internet. People have done a lot of great work on here. Go back to here. This is where I can add inter-app audio applications as well, so I can have different apps going into this. Very, very convenient. Other than that, in my settings, I've got background audio. I can choose which input, if I have a stereo input, which input's going to this. I'm in ultra low latency mode. This is an iPad Air 2, so it's got enough horsepower to do that. Stereo mode, definitely. And just a bunch of other basic settings, but this is just a really quick overview of what this app can do. I'm going to switch to my Les Paul now and just do the same sounds but with a different guitar so you can hear how that responds. Alright, so I've changed to my Les Paul, and the only difference I've made is that I've taken my iRig down from about 2 o'clock on my Strat to just about 11 o'clock, just because the level difference coming in. Alright, so I'm going to take everything off so it's just the two amplifiers. In fact, let's go to the mixer here. I'm just going to put this up in the center. we can hear each amp separately. Okay, so this is sounds like the plexi. That's the triple rectifier. Put them both together. And let's do the split trick again. And let's even out that plexi with the drive pedal. Take that back over here, and let's turn the reverb on. Delay. Alright, so that's bias effects. Maybe I'll throw another video up at some point doing some MIDI controls or trying some different ideas. The one other thing I want to show you before we go is the output setting. This is really quite cool, and I'm just going to zoom in on this part here because I think it's really important. A lot of people want to plug this stuff into a real amplifier, or they've got some sort of cool power amp setting. There's a couple different settings here that's going to help. I'm using direct out because I'm just recording to headphones, listening to headphones and recording into audio share. So I want the preamp, the tone stack, the power amp, and the cabinet all modeled because I want to have all of that virtually there. But I can also go through a couple different settings. One is amp front, and this one sounds terrible this way because there's no cabinet simulation. But of course, if you're plugging into an amplifier, all you really want is the preamp and the tone colors coming from bias. You want to still use the power amp and the overall character of your amplifier plus the cabinet to get the sound. Combo power amp. Okay, well in this case, you've got a combo power amp, but you're still going through a real speaker. So in this case, the power amp doesn't have any sort of coloration of its tone, so you do want to add the tone stack because I want to have the specific Marshall-ness or the Vox-ness or Fender sound, right? And the same with the stack power amp. The only difference, I believe, might be a little bit of EQ compensation that you could do here, because of course you could use these presets and it still might have too much bass, and at that stage you just alter that, right? Or in this case, what we're doing here. Or if you plug into anything that doesn't have a guitar cabinet, you would use the direct out. I often will use this into a keyboard amp. And of course the keyboard amp doesn't use the same kind of cabinet that a guitar cabinet would use, because there's usually a tweeter in there. So I definitely want that cabinet simulation on. But I'm going to definitely try this with my, my Blackstar amp and see what the results are, right? All right, anyway. This is Bias Effects, and this is Jim McLaren. Thank you for watching.